Number 10 is the Mazda MX-5 Miata. And honestly, if you're just getting serious about sports cars, this is where your journey should start. The Miata is the answer to a question automotive engineers have been asking for decades. What if we stripped everything down to the absolute essence of what makes driving fun? A 2.0-liter, naturally aspirated four-cylinder producing 181 horsepower doesn't sound like much on paper. 151 pound-feet of torque? Even less. But here's the thing. Numbers lie. What matters is that Miata gives you a direct, unfiltered connection between your hands, your feet, and the road. The weight distribution is dead center perfect at 50-50 front to back. Send power to the rear wheels, and suddenly the car feels playful rather than merely fast. You get a 6-speed manual transmission standard, which means you're rowing through gears yourself, no computers intermediating between you and the engine. In 2026, the Miata starts at roughly $30,000, making it one of the most affordable ways to experience genuine sports car dynamics. Mazda even offers it as an RF with a powered, retractable fastback roof, giving you convertible thrills with the rigidity of a coupe when you need it. The real magic of the Miata isn't acceleration or raw power. It's the feeling that the car is so light, so responsive, that every tiny input matters. You can feel the tires working, sense the steering feedback, and experience what happens when engineers say yes to simplicity. It's already an incredible sports car, but there's a lot more performance coming up this list. Drop your pick in the comments. Are you a Miata person, or do you need more power? Number 9 is the Subaru BRZ. And this is where things get interesting because the BRZ does something the world hasn't appreciated in years. It celebrates the naturally aspirated engine. The flat-4 boxer engine sits lower in the chassis than conventional layouts, which means the center of gravity drops. A 2.4-liter naturally aspirated configuration produces 228 horsepower and 184 pound-feet of torque. That's 47 more horsepower than the Miata, and it arrives at a completely different part of the revs. There's no turbo lag here. The engine is tuned for linear, predictable power delivery that builds steadily as the RPMs climb. 6-speed manual transmission comes standard on the BRZ, which continues Subaru's commitment to driver engagement. The BRZ has a Torsen limited-slip rear differential that distributes power intelligently when you're cornering hard, transforming grip into confidence. Curb weight is around 2,850 pounds, still remarkably light for a modern sports car. Track-tuned suspension keeps the car planted, and Michelin Pilot Sport 4 tires on higher trims give you serious grip when the road opens up. Subaru's engineering philosophy with the BRZ was never about chasing horsepower. It's about creating a car that helps you learn, that rewards smooth inputs and penalizes sloppy ones. The naturally aspirated engine teaches you to work the gearbox, to build momentum, to understand timing. Starting at $30,095, it's only $3,000 more than the Miata, but it offers significantly more performance and a completely different character. Number 8 is the Toyota GR86. And if you thought the BRZ was good, Toyota's platform mate just proved there's more than one way to make a lightweight sports car special. The GR86 shares the same basic architecture as the BRZ. That co-developed platform both companies agreed would be the foundation for genuinely fun, affordable sports cars. Here's where they diverge. Toyota's 2.4-liter flat-4 produces 228 horsepower, matching the BRZ exactly. But the GR86 has a slightly different tuning character. The GR86 feels more eager, more willing to step out. A 6-speed manual transmission is standard here too. The real difference is in the details. Toyota equipped the GR86 with Michelin Pilot Sport 4 tires on higher trims, and the chassis tuning is fractionally stiffer. Track testing reveals that 0 to 60 times hover around 6.1 seconds with the manual, with some independent tests claiming 5.4 seconds when driven aggressively. The GR86 carries a starting price of $31,200, making it genuinely competitive with the BRZ. For 2026, there's even a Yuzu edition that adds distinctive styling. What separates it further up this list from the BRZ is not necessarily performance, but philosophy. The GR86 feels designed for the enthusiast who wants performance first, efficiency second. Toyota has also been more aggressive with the GR badge across the lineup, meaning the GR86 carries more prestige in the GR ecosystem. Either the BRZ or the GR86 would be defensible at this position, but the GR86 nudges ahead simply because it's become the sales leader in this segment, proving that drivers agree on the value proposition. Number 7 is the Toyota GR Corolla. And this is where the ranking takes a hard left turn, because we're switching from rear-wheel drive purists to all-wheel drive performance that rewrites what a hot hatch can be. The GR Corolla is a turbocharged 1.6-liter three-cylinder, producing 300 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque. That's a lot of power from a very small engine. The three-cylinder grumbles like an angry lawnmower on cold starts, but once it's warm, it sings with a high-strung mechanical character that has nothing to do with artificial exhaust valves and everything to do with actual engine speed. Here's the performance part. 6-speed manual transmission standard. Here's the perspective shift. All-wheel drive with a GR4 system that distributes torque not just front to rear, but left to right through active diffs. Toyota tested this machine at the Nürburgring and at rallying events, and the engineering shows. Starting at just $39,920, the GR Corolla is affordable enough that you're getting a 300 horsepower turbocharged AWD performance car for less than a Civic Type R. The GR Corolla doesn't have the purity of the RWD coupes below it, but it absolutely has the capability. In snow, in rain, on loose gravel, this thing is a weapon. It's practical too. You get back seats, a cargo area, and the ability to drive it daily without complaint. The trade-off is weight. At over 3,300 pounds, it's substantially heavier than the GR86. But that weight carries more equipment, more technology, and significantly more power to play with. Number 6 is the Honda Civic Type R, and now we've reached the point where horsepower starts to matter more than everything else. The Type R is something that shouldn't exist in 2026. A front-wheel drive performance car with a 6-speed manual transmission. Only. No automatic, no CVT, no hybrid assist. Just 315 horsepower from a turbocharged 2.0-liter four-cylinder, 310 pound-feet of torque, and a straight connection to the front wheels. The fact that Honda is still offering this setup makes the Type R a rare bird in the modern market. What you're getting is the culmination of decades of Honda performance engineering, compressed into a daily drivable hatchback. The dual-axis front suspension actively manages torque steer and helps the front end turn in more sharply. Dynamic steering adjusts the ratio based on speed. Launch control helps you hook up the turbocharged power without wheel spin. Brembo brakes with big rotors haul everything down from speed reliably. The interior is driver-focused with minimal distractions, and the shifter has that short throw that makes manual shifts feel immediate. At 3,188 pounds, the Type R is actually heavier than you might expect, but the 315 horsepower gives it a 0 to 60 time around 5.0 seconds, easily outrunning the GR86 and matching higher-powered cars. The MSRP is $48,545, which feels reasonable given the equipment and capability. The trade-off is that it's front-wheel drive, which means the handling character is completely different from the RWD cars. Understeer is always a possibility if you're aggressive, but Honda engineered around this limitation so comprehensively that most drivers never hit that wall. The Type R represents a different philosophy, not lightweight purity, but intelligent use of available technology to maximize performance within a FWD platform. Number 5 is the Honda Prelude. And this is the first car on this list that forces you to rethink what a sports car actually is. The 2026 Prelude is back from a 27-year hiatus, and it's completely different from what you might expect. It's a hybrid, a 2.0-liter Atkinson cycle four-cylinder, paired with a two-motor hybrid system, produces 200 total system horsepower and 232 pound-feet of torque. On paper, that's significantly less than the cars above it. But here's the engineering you need to understand. The electric motors provide instant torque from 0 RPM, which means the Prelude can accelerate with convincing authority despite the lower total output. The dual-motor hybrid system is tuned for engagement, not efficiency. Honda created a new S+ shift mode that simulates manual transmission feel through the transmission selection and audio tuning. You can actively command shift points and feel a more traditional drive experience, despite the absence of 3 pedals. The Prelude gets roughly 46 miles per gallon in city driving, which is astonishing for a performance coupe. Starting at around $42,000, it's more expensive than a GR86, but less than a Civic Type R. The driving experience is smooth, refined, responsive. This is grand touring rather than track assault. The Prelude's position at number 5 might seem generous to those who prioritize horsepower, but consider this. It's a practical, efficient, engaging coupe with technology that points to the future of sports cars, because the future absolutely includes electrification. The Prelude doesn't abandon fun to achieve efficiency. It proves that engagement and responsibility can coexist. Number 4 is the Nissan Z, and we've arrived at something that genuinely deserves the term sports car in the most traditional sense. The Z is a rear-wheel drive two-seater with a 3.0-liter twin turbocharged V6, producing 400 horsepower and 350 pound-feet of torque. That engine is derived from the Infiniti Q60, but Nissan has tuned it specifically for this platform. A 6-speed manual transmission is standard on the Z Sport trim, which is crucial because this is a driver's car designed for engagement. The 9-speed automatic is available if you prefer, but the manual is the proper way to experience this machine. The twin turbochargers spool smoothly and deliver boost across the rev range. Torque is fat in the mid-range, which means the Z feels quick everywhere you're actually driving, not just at maximum throttle. Acceleration from 0 to 60 happens in around 3.5 seconds with the manual, which is genuinely quick. The chassis is more rigid than previous generations, and the suspension is more compliant, which means you get both precision and comfort in a package that works on the street and at the track. The Z starts at $45,510, making it hundreds cheaper than the GR Supra, despite offering more horsepower and similar performance. The real appeal of the Z is its directness. This is a sports car that feels like a sports car. Rear-wheel drive, manual gearbox, turbo V6 with a mechanical sound, and a stance that screams intent. It's not the fastest car on this list, but it's one of the most honest. Number 3 is the Nissan Z Nismo, because the jump from number 4 is where this list becomes elite. The Nismo version takes the already excellent Z and cranks everything up a notch. The twin-turbo V6 is tuned to produce 420 horsepower and 384 pound-feet of torque, 20 more horses and 34 more pound-feet than the base Z. That might not sound like much, but the Nismo also receives upgraded suspension tuning, performance dampers, a limited slip differential with a mechanical lock, and Brembo brakes with performance pads. The result is a Z that's sharper in every direction. The steering is quicker, the brakes have better modulation and fade resistance, and the suspension communicates road surface more directly to your fingertips. The Nismo is more expensive than the base Z, but it's positioned as the ultimate expression of Z performance for 2026. This car is track-ready without apology. It's aggressive, focused, and purposeful in a way that most modern sports cars aren't. Performance testing shows 0 to 60 times below 3.5 seconds, and the chassis is absolutely capable of exploiting that power. The only compromise is that ride quality is firmer, and you'll hear tire noise on coarse pavement. But that's the trade. Comfort for precision. The Nismo feels like it exists in a different category than the base Z, almost like it's the bridge between traditional sports cars and the hypercars beyond. Number 2 is the Toyota GR Supra, and this is the final year edition of one of the most legendary nameplates in automotive history. The 2026 model marks the last opportunity to buy a brand new GR Supra, because production ends after this model year. The 3.0-liter turbocharged inline-6 produces 382 horsepower and 368 pound-feet of torque. This engine is naturally balanced, which means the torque delivery is smooth and controllable. You get an 8-speed automatic transmission. There's no manual available for 2026, which is a point of contention for some enthusiasts. But Nissan's decision to make their Z manual available might actually make the Supra's automatic-only configuration seem more reasonable. 0 to 60 happens in 3.9 seconds, and the top speed is 155 miles per hour. The Supra's wheelbase is intentionally short at 97.2 inches, making it feel nimble and eager to change direction. The chassis is a collaboration between Toyota and BMW, utilizing the same platform as the BMW Z4, which means the engineering is sophisticated and trusted. The 2026 Supra Mk5 Final Edition carries exclusive styling that pays homage to the fourth-generation model, including heritage graphics, special paint options, and a unique car cover. The Supra is positioned as a grand touring sports car rather than a track weapon. The ride is compliant, the steering is precise, and the overall character is refined engagement rather than raw assault. Starting at $58,300, the Supra is substantially more expensive than the Z, yet it doesn't outrun the Z in straight-line acceleration. What you're paying for is the heritage, the engineering sophistication, the final edition status, and a driving experience that feels more luxurious and composed. This is a car designed to be the last Supra, and Toyota made certain it was worthy of that title. Number 1 is the Lexus LC 500, and there's only one reason this car tops the list. It's the last of a dying breed. The LC 500 is powered by a 5.0-liter naturally aspirated V8 engine, producing 471 horsepower and 398 pound-feet of torque. Let me explain why this matters. Naturally aspirated engines are disappearing. Nissan will sell you a twin-turbo V6 that makes 400 horsepower. Toyota's own GR Supra uses a turbocharged inline-6. Honda went hybrid with the Prelude. But Lexus alone refused to give up on traditional V8 power, and the LC 500 is the final naturally aspirated V8 that Lexus will ever sell in America. The engine itself is a masterpiece of old-school engineering. It doesn't need electric assistance. It doesn't need turbos. It just sits there and makes power the way V8s used to, with a thick, sonorous character that makes every mile feel special. The exhaust note is genuinely one of the best sounds produced by any production car. Fire it up in the early morning, and you'll hear something most people will never experience again: the sound of a big displacement naturally aspirated engine with zero compromise. A 10-speed automatic transmission manages the power with impressive refinement. 0 to 60 happens in 4.4 seconds for the coupe, which is quick enough but not the point. The LC 500 starts at $101,600, which makes it substantially more expensive than any car ranked below it. But this is a grand tourer, a car designed for long-distance driving, where the V8 engine sings and the sophisticated interior wraps you in luxury and craftsmanship. The ride is perfectly balanced between compliance and control. You can toss the LC into a canyon and find real performance, or you can cruise the Pacific Coast Highway feeling utterly at ease. The LC 500 convertible exists too, with the same engine and similar capability. But here's the definitive reason the LC 500 takes the number 1 spot. It's the last. Production ends after 2026. The final V8 from Lexus will be gone. In 5 years, your only options for a naturally aspirated V8 sports car will be used examples or cars imported from overseas. The future of sports cars is turbos and hybrids and electrification. That future is necessary and probably inevitable. But the LC 500 represents the final chapter of an era when automakers built sports cars around the pure character of an engine, when displacement still mattered, when refinement didn't require computer assistance. It's expensive, it's not the fastest, and it won't appeal to everyone. But it's uncompromising in its commitment to V8 character, and it's the last chance to buy this approach to sports car engineering new. That makes it irreplaceable. So there's your top 10. Which one would you actually buy? Leave it in the comments, and subscribe if you want more rankings that actually matter.